You ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Today I'm going to introduce the English famous artist Francis Bacon, and he had a dramatic life beyond our imagination because he was a homosexual and he started his painting life very late, but he also have many incredible achievements in his own life. So that's my my description for this presentation. Francis Bacon was born in 1909 and he died in 1992. He's a British unique painter. He always do a really controversial issue in his works, and people really admire him because his work is very unique, very special, and he didn't influence by anyone, and he also did not influence others. So that's why I really interested about him. And today I'm going to, because he has so many famous works and so many interesting events in his life, and we could not finish it in today's presentation. So I'm going to give you guys some things you must know about this artist. And his works was the most expensive painting in the art history. This is the one, the
Triptych.
Okay, triptych. In 1976. This one was sold in $86.3 million in 2008, and it's an incredible amount, and we can see the famous, the iconic symbols of Bacon in his works. I mean the surreal space, the body with distortion, and the color, the tone of the color was very special, and that's how we recognize Bacon. And there's another one famous work by Bacon, the Pops. The left one was another famous one, which was made by the Spanish painter Velázquez, and the right one was the new one, which made by Bacon. And people are really this works was really familiar to people that when they see the right one, they say, "Oh yeah, it's Bacon. It's his famous works." But people are really not really get into this works, the meaning behind it, because why Bacon did these works, according to many art critics, they said it combined many social issues, which includes the homosexual, the religion, and how he admired the extremely hero icon from the former painting. As we know, Bacon was a homosexual, so he was trying to do something really extremely iconic. So some say it's also a fascist. It's also a tribute to Nazis.
Tribute to what?
Nazi. Yeah. So as we know, Begun was born after Begun was famous after the World War II. So he was really influenced by the broken things after the war in Europe. So I think that's why people say, oh, he also tried to imply some extremely meaning of Nazis or fascists. And also there's another question people will try to figure out in Pagan's works is what is reality? Because when we saw the works of Cubism or Impressionism, and we will see there is not a reality in their works between our eyes and their painting. And actually, we can see that how painter represent the emotional and intuition, imagination in their words. And actually, we can say there is another way to realize the reality, not just rely on our eyes or your phone, the camera on your phone, because sometimes what we see is not what we see. And Francis Bacon may have fallen from favor, but his art tells the brutal truth about mankind's through century. It's said by Jonathan Jones, the reporter of Guardian. This is another famous work by Bacon, his self-portrait. And as I told you before, Bacon was really influenced by the World War II. So he always trying to figure out the days around his life, and he always combine his strong feeling. He's afraid. He really afraid about this, but he also want to live like a sentimental people who can feel the real feeling. And his life is really totally a mess, just like his studio. He always threw away the tool, the pens, the stroke. He really make a really mess in his studio, and he never trying to clean it up. And Bacon won his retrospective reputation when he had a exhibition in Guggenheim Museum in 1963 to 64. This exhibition is in New York, and people start to recognize this famous artist in modern art history. But however, when he was going back to Europe, have another one large exhibition, his intimate lover George Dyer committed suicide in Paris. So there is really another issue that have a really big influence in the rest of his life. George Dyer, who was a younger, sentimental man, lived with him, and he how they met was one day George breaking in his studio, and Bacon was happened to see that, and he started to take care of him. They become couples. They show up in parties in public, but George was really an alcohol, a thief, a person who really close to criminal stuff. So he also bring a lot of trouble to Bacon. And there is a movie talking about this. The title is "Love is the Devil," and you can see that the character was now we really know the famous 007.
Right.
Daniel Craig. Yeah. So now I'm going to do my have you ever seen the flow of rage? That's how I really want to execute people, because sometimes we really need to find a really extreme emotion in our words. Otherwise, we cannot be a person who can be honest to ourselves. So Bacon was really trying to have a struggle with this issue. He always be honest to himself. He can see how he was angry about his work. So that's what we saw in his painting. So my conclusion about this presentation is we can dig ourselves and express our experience by art or by design our works, and that's what Bacon did, and that's what we can do. Thank you.